Nestled in the southeastern corner of Bangladesh lies a region of breathtaking beauty, the Chittagong Hill Tracts. This area is a hidden gem, often overlooked by many, but those who venture here are rewarded with stunning vistas and a sense of tranquility that is hard to find elsewhere. This land of rolling hills, lush forests, and sparkling rivers is a world away from the bustling cities. The air here is fresh and clean, and the natural beauty is unspoiled by the touch of modernity. Cascading waterfalls plunge into crystal-clear pools, their roar echoing through the valleys. These waterfalls are not just a visual treat, but also a source of life for the flora and fauna that thrive in this region. Monkeys swing through the dense canopy, and exotic birds fill the air with their calls. The biodiversity here is rich and varied, making it a paradise for wildlife enthusiasts and birdwatchers. The Chittagong Hill Tracts, often simply called the Hill Tracts, are a sanctuary for nature lovers and adventurers. Whether you're an avid trekker or someone who simply enjoys a peaceful walk in nature, this place has something to offer. Trekking trails wind their way through the hills, offering stunning views at every turn. Each trail has its own unique charm, with some leading to hidden waterfalls and others to panoramic viewpoints. Indigenous communities who have called this land home for centuries live in harmony with their surroundings. Their traditional ways of life are a testament to sustainable living and respect for nature. Their lives are deeply intertwined with the rhythms of nature. From farming to fishing, every activity is done with a deep sense of respect for the environment, ensuring that this beautiful region remains pristine for generations to come. However, beneath the surface of this idyllic region lies a history of conflict and tension that has shaped the lives of its inhabitants for generations. The arrival of Bengali settlers in the 20th century led to disputes over land ownership and resource rights, creating a complex web of grievances and rivalries. Indigenous communities who had long been marginalized found themselves increasingly displaced, and their way of life threatened. Their ancestral lands were taken over and their traditional practices were disrupted. These tensions escalated in the latter half of the century, fueled by political instability and economic disparities. The struggle for resources and recognition became more intense, leading to frequent clashes and unrest. The indigenous communities demanded greater autonomy and recognition of their land rights. They organized protests, held community meetings, and raised their voices against the injustices they faced. The government, however, was slow to address their grievances, and the situation remained a powder keg waiting to explode. The lack of timely intervention and meaningful dialogue only deepened the divide, making the path to peace and reconciliation even more challenging. Tragically, the long simmering tensions erupted into violence on September 18, 2024. The Chittagong Hill Tracts, a region already fraught with historical conflicts, found itself once again at the epicenter of turmoil. Clashes between indigenous groups and Bengali settlers left several dead and many injured. The violence was swift and brutal, catching many by surprise and overwhelming local authorities. Homes were burned, businesses were looted, and a wave of fear swept through the region. Families fled their homes, seeking safety wherever they could find it, while the fires of conflict raged on. This latest outbreak of violence is a stark reminder of the fragility of peace in the region. The streets, once bustling with life, now lay deserted, echoing the somber reflections of a community in distress. It has shattered the fragile sense of normalcy that had begun to return to the hill tracts after decades of unrest. The vibrant community activities and bustling markets that once characterized the area now seem like distant memories. The scars of this conflict run deep, and healing them will require a concerted effort from all sides. Emotional interviews with survivors reveal the depth of the trauma, while scenes of reconciliation efforts and community rebuilding offer a glimmer of hope for the future. Section 5. Displacement and fear. The immediate aftermath of the violence has been devastating. Thousands of people, mostly from indigenous communities, have been displaced from their homes. They now live in makeshift camps, fearful and uncertain about the future. Children are particularly vulnerable, their education disrupted and their childhoods marred by violence and displacement. The psychological toll of the conflict is immense, leaving many traumatized and struggling to cope. Section 6. The long road to peace. The government has deployed security forces to the region in an attempt to restore order and prevent further violence. However, the situation remains tense and there are fears that the violence could escalate again. A long-term solution requires addressing the root causes of the conflict. Dialogue and reconciliation are crucial. The government must engage in meaningful dialogue with Indigenous leaders to address their grievances and find a lasting solution to the land disputes. This will require empathy, understanding, and a willingness to compromise. Section 7. A fragile hope. Despite the challenges, there is a glimmer of hope. Civil society organizations are working tirelessly to provide humanitarian assistance to those affected by the violence. They are also playing a vital role in promoting dialogue and understanding between communities. Grassroots initiatives are fostering peace and reconciliation at the local level. Religious leaders are using their influence to preach tolerance and understanding. These efforts, though small, offer a beacon of hope in these dark times. Section 8. Towards a brighter future. The Chittagong Hill Tracts, with their breathtaking beauty and rich cultural heritage, deserve a future free from violence and fear. Achieving this future will require a collective effort from the government, indigenous communities, and civil society. By addressing the root causes of the conflict, promoting dialogue and reconciliation, and investing in the well-being of all communities, it is possible to build a brighter future for the Chittagong Hill Tracts. A future where its stunning landscapes are no longer marred by conflict, but reflect the harmony of its diverse people.